Hey everyone, it's Triple Mango Threat or Ashley, and today we're talking about Tomer's Zada Hedron Grinder deck, so let's jump right into it. So our commander is Zada Hedron Grinder. For 3 and a red, it's a 3/3 goblin ally. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery that targets only Zada, copy that spell for each other creature you control that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. So as you see, it's important that we have a lot of creatures, and how we do that is with spells that make creatures, so Dragon Fodder, Krenko's Command, and Hordling Outburst. Basically, we pay mana and we make tokens, whether there's 2 or 3 1/1 goblins that are put onto our battlefield. Because later these tokens can actually become very powerful and they're no longer 1/1s, but we'll get into that later. Some more sorceries we can use is Goblin War Party and Empty the Warrens. Most likely we're going to choose first option for Goblin War Party, which is to create 3 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. And Empty the Warrens is really great because we'll be casting a lot of instants and sorceries, so being able to storm is super easy in this deck. So we'll probably get, on average, 8 goblins from this one card. Now some creatures that get us even more creatures are cards like Siege Gang Commander, Beetleback Chief, and Mogwar Marshal. When these enter the battlefield or die, we get goblin tokens. And as I mentioned before, we want as many creatures on our battlefield as possible. We even have Dwarven Mine, which is a land that enters the battlefield tapped unless we control 3 other mountains. And in a mono red deck, it's very likely we will accomplish this. Whenever it enters the battlefield untapped, we can create a 1/1 dwarf creature token. No, it is not a goblin, but Zada doesn't care about that as long as it's a creature that can be targeted. So what do we want to target them with? Well, actually we'll be targeting our commander with cards like Stun, Expedite, and Renegade Tactics. We'll give target creature, or Zada, a silly ability like, oh, it can't block this turn, or it gains haste, but more importantly, at the very bottom it says draw a card. Why this matters is because we get to copy this for each other creature we control. So if we have 8 creatures total, we're drawing 8 cards for 1 or 2 red mana. You don't see any red card doing that, especially for that low of CMC. And it's not just those 3 cards, we have Boiling Blood, Accelerate, and Rile. Now the thing about Rile is that it deals 1 damage to target creature you control. That creature gains trample until end of turn. Well, the problem is when we have a lot of 1/1s, they would all die because we're copying this spell. So hopefully this works the way I think it does, which is we just target all the damage to 1 creature, so only 1 creature is going to die, and we're still going to draw a bunch of cards. And there's even ways to scry with Titan's Strength and Samut's Sprint. Again, we're targeting a creature, which is our commander, and we get to scry 1. And if we have 8 creatures, that means we get to scry 8 times. So we get to look at the top card 8 times and decide whether we want it on the top or the bottom of our library. Spark of Creativity. This is a powerful one. We get to choose target creature, so our commander will exile the top card of our library, and we may have Spark of Creativity deal damage to that creature equal to the exiled card's converted mana cost. If you don't, you may play that card until end of turn. So we can end up exiling, for example, 8 cards off the top of our library for 1 red mana. We can play them until end of turn. That is super powerful. And the last card I want to mention for card draw is really a way that we win, and that's with Fist of Flame. For 1 and a red, it's an instant. Draw a card until end of turn. Target creature gains trample and +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. This means each creature gets +1/+0 for each card we've drawn. So make sure to always have an idea of how many cards you've drawn each turn. Now besides the creatures that we're making and ways to draw cards, let's talk about the ramp in the deck. We have Brightstone Ritual, which is only 1 red mana to get a red mana for each goblin in play. This is really great because we make a lot of goblins in the deck, so that means a lot of mana just for 1 red mana. Inner Fire, this is 3 and a red for add red mana for each card in your hand. It's often we can have 10 cards in our hand, or even more, so we get 10 mana just for a 4 investment. Skirk Prospector, for 1 red we get a creature that has an awesome ability that lets us sacrifice a goblin to get 1 red mana. Battle Hymn, for 1 and a red we get a red mana for each creature you control, which this time it doesn't care if we have a certain creature type, it just cares about how many creatures we have. Mana Geyser, super powerful, for 3 red, add red mana for each tapped land your opponents control. You can easily make 10 mana off of this, or even more. The last ramp card I want to talk about is Walking Atlas. We can tap it to put a land from our hand onto the battlefield, and since red doesn't have any ways or any great ways to ramp, this is a way to start doing that. 2 cards I want to talk about is Goblin Churgan and Shreds of Sanity. These have no similar attributes for me to be talking about them at the same time, but we can sacrifice a goblin to regenerate target creature, so that means we can sacrifice one of our 1/1s to save Zada because our opponents will definitely want to mess with our commander. And then Shreds of Sanity, this is an amazing way to get back deck are cards that let us draw even more cards. This says return up to 1 target instant and up to 1 target sorcery from your grave to your hand, and then we have to discard a card and then exile this card. That's how good it is. So my final thoughts on this deck is I really love this one. Originally it was meant to be a $35 deck, and I think it ended up being $45 if I'm not mistaken, but it's so worth it. It's a lot of fun, and I really recommend it if you're looking to branch out a little bit into mono red, because I know it's not everyone's favorite. But this is a very powerful deck, and if you've been waiting for someone to recommend it, well, here I am, and I really recommend it. Tomer, if you're watching this, you built a great deck, and I can't wait for more of your deck techs to come out. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please consider joining my Patreon. If we meet the $100 goal each month, this series can continue, and you'll be able to vote on which deck is next. Be sure to comment down below and subscribe for more Mango content. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.